Unexpected encounter. The distant hum of machinery echoed through the dimly lit corridors of Outpost Zeta 9, a solitary human research station orbiting an uncharted planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. Dr. Ilara Chen, the station's lead xenobiologist, hunched over her workstation, her eyes fixed on the holographic display floating before her. The clock on the wall silently ticked past midnight, but time held little meaning in the endless void of space. Ilara brushed a strand of jet-black hair from her face, squinting at the complex molecular structures rotating in the air. She had spent the last 6 months studying the unique biochemistry of the planet below, fascinated by its potential to revolutionize human medicine. But tonight, something felt different. A nagging sensation tugged at the back of her mind, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. A soft chime from her communication device broke the silence. Ilara frowned, tapping the screen to reveal a message from her colleague, Dr. Marcus Reeves. Unusual energy readings detected near the station. Possible artifact of unknown origin, initiating containment protocols. Ilara's heart raced as she read the words. Unknown artifacts in deep space were rare and often dangerous. She quickly saved her work and headed for the door, determination etched on her face. As the lead scientist on Zeta 9, it was her responsibility to investigate any potential threats to the station and its crew. The corridors seemed eerily quiet as Ilara made her way towards the observation deck. The station's night cycle had dimmed the lights, casting long shadows that danced along the walls. She couldn't shake the feeling that something momentous was about to happen. As she rounded the final corner, a flash of movement caught her eye. Ilara froze, her breath catching in her throat. There, standing before the reinforced viewport, were 2 figures unlike anything she had ever seen. They were tall and slender, their skin a shimmering, iridescent blue that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Their faces were eerily human-like, but with large, almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an otherworldly intelligence. Most striking of all, they were identical twins, perfectly mirroring each other's movements as they examined the viewport with clear fascination. Ilara's scientific mind raced, cataloging every detail of the aliens' appearance. They were clearly not from any known species in the galactic database. How had they gotten aboard the station undetected? And why were they here? Taking a deep breath, Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Hello," she said, raising her hands in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm Dr. Ilara Chen. Welcome to Outpost Zeta 9. The aliens turned in perfect synchronization, their luminous eyes widening in surprise. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then, to Ilara's amazement, one of them spoke, its voice a melodic blend of whispers and chimes. "Greetings, Dr. Ilara Chen," the alien said, the words forming with unexpected clarity. "We are Zephyr and Zenith of the Aetherian Collective. Our presence here is unintended." Ilara's mind reeled. Not only were these beings capable of interstellar travel, but they also seemed to have some form of universal translation technology. The implications were staggering. "Unintended?" Ilara asked, taking a cautious step closer. "How did you come to be on our station?" The twins exchanged a glance, a silent communication passing between them. Zephyr, or was it Zenith, spoke again. "We were investigating an anomaly in the fabric of space-time. Our calculations led us here, but the transition was unexpected." Ilara's scientific curiosity overrode her initial caution. An anomaly? What kind of anomaly could cause such a precise teleportation? Before the aliens could respond, a loud alarm blared through the station. Red emergency lights bathed the corridor in an ominous glow. Ilara's communication device chirped urgently, and Dr. Ree's panicked voice filled the air. "Ilara. The artifact, it's not just an artifact. It's some kind of portal, and it's growing. We're detecting massive energy surges. The whole station could be at risk." The Aetherian's expressions shifted to ones of concern. Zenith stepped forward, its voice taking on a new urgency. "The anomaly, it must have followed us. Dr. Chen, your station is in grave danger. The portal is a tear in the universe itself, and if it isn't contained, it could consume everything in its path." Ilara's mind raced, processing the implications of this revelation. She was a scientist, trained to observe and analyze, but now she was faced with a threat beyond her wildest imagination. Yet, as she looked at the alien twins, she saw not invaders, but potential allies in the face of cosmic peril. "Tell me everything you know," Ilara said, her voice firm with resolve. "If we're going to save this station and possibly the entire sector, we need to work together." As the alarms continued to wail, Ilara, Zephyr, and Zenith hurried towards the containment lab. The human scientist and the alien twins, brought together by chance, now found themselves united against a threat that transcended the boundaries of their respective civilizations. Little did they know that this unexpected encounter was just the beginning of an adventure that would challenge the limits of human ingenuity, test the bonds of trust between different species, and ultimately shape the fate of two galaxies. The corridor ahead flickered with unstable energy, the very air seeming to ripple and distort. As they approached the containment lab, Ilara could feel the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end. Whatever lay beyond that door was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. "Dr. Chen," Zephyr said, its melodic voice tinged with urgency, "we must act quickly. The tear in space-time is growing more unstable by the moment." Ilara nodded, steeling herself for what lay ahead. As she placed her hand on the biometric scanner, she couldn't help but wonder, how had a routine research mission turned into a fight for survival against forces beyond human comprehension? The lab doors hissed open, revealing a scene of controlled chaos. In the center of the room, a swirling vortex of energy pulsed and writhed, its edges jagged like a wound in reality itself. Dr. Reeves and his team worked frantically at various consoles, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of the anomaly. "Ilara," Marcus called out, relief evident in his voice. His eyes widened as he noticed the alien twins. "What in the name of?" "No time for introductions," Ilara cut him off, her voice commanding. "These are Zephyr and Zenith. They're here to help. Marcus, give me a status report." As Marcus rattled off a series of increasingly alarming readings, Ilara watched the Etherians approach the anomaly. They moved with a fluid grace, their iridescent skin seeming to resonate with the energy emanating from the portal. Zenith turned to Ilara, its glowing eyes intense. "Your containment field is impressive, Dr. Chen, but it won't hold for long. This tail is connected to a network of similar anomalies spreading across multiple galaxies. It's part of something far larger and more dangerous than we initially believed." Ilara's mind raced, processing the implications. "A network? Are you saying this is happening in other places too?" Zephyr nodded solemnly. "We've been tracking these anomalies for some time. They're symptoms of a cosmic event we call the convergence, a collision of realities that threatens the very fabric of the universe." The weight of this revelation settled over the room like a heavy shroud. Ilara looked from the swirling vortex to the worried faces of her crew, then back to the alien twins. In that moment, she knew that the fate of not just the station, but possibly all of existence, rested on what they did next. "All right," Ilara said, her voice steady despite the fear threatening to overwhelm her. "We need a plan. Zephyr, Zenith, what do you know about closing these tiers?" As the Etherians began to explain the complex physics behind the anomalies, Ilara felt a spark of hope. Here, in this remote outpost at the edge of human exploration, an unlikely alliance was forming, one that might just be the key to saving everything they held dear. The clock was ticking, the vortex growing more unstable with each passing second. But as Ilara looked at the determined faces around her, human and alien alike, she knew that together, they stood a chance against the cosmic storm that threatened to engulf them all. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would take them to the farthest reaches of the universe, challenge everything they thought they knew, and ultimately decide the fate of all reality. Unraveling secrets. The containment lab of Outpost Zeta 9 crackled with an otherworldly energy as Dr. Elara Chen, the Aetherian twins Zephyr and Zenith, and the human crew worked feverishly to stabilize the growing dimensional tear. Holographic displays flickered with streams of incomprehensible data, a blend of human mathematics and alien algorithms that danced in the air like digital fireflies. The quantum fluctuations are reaching critical levels, Dr. Marcus Reeves called out, his fingers flying over the control panel. We're losing containment. Elara gritted her teeth, her mind racing. Zephyr, you mentioned something about harmonic resonance. Could we use that to dampen the tear's energy signature? The iridescent alien nodded, its luminous eyes brightening with understanding. Yes, but we need a focal point, something to channel and redirect the dimensional flux. Zenith stepped forward, its voice a melody of urgency. The artifact, Dr. Chen, the one your team discovered before our arrival, it might be the key. With a nod to Marcus, Elara rushed to a sealed container in the corner of the lab. Inside, nestled in a bed of protective foam, lay a small octahedral object. Its surface shimmered with an opalescent sheen, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. Careful, Zephyr warned as Elara lifted the artifact. Its properties are unlike anything in known space. It's a nexus point, a junction of realities. As Elara's fingers closed around the object, a jolt of energy surged through her body. Suddenly, her mind was flooded with visions, glimpses of distant worlds, alternate timelines, and cosmic wonders beyond imagination. She gasped, nearly dropping the artifact as the weight of the universe pressed upon her consciousness. Elara. Marcus called out, concern etched on his face. Are you all right? She blinked, the visions fading but leaving an indelible imprint on her psyche. I'm fine. But this thing, it's more than just an artifact. It's alive somehow, conscious. Zenith's eyes widened. The cosmic codex, it whispered, awe evident in its melodic voice. A legendary object capable of bridging the gap between realities. We thought it was just a myth. There was no time to process the implications of this revelation. The dimensional tear pulsed violently, tendrils of energy lashing out and scorching the lab's reinforced walls. Elara knew they had to act fast. Tell me what to do, she said, holding the cosmic codex before her like a shield against the encroaching chaos. Zephyr and Zenith moved to flank her, their iridescent hands hovering inches from the artifact. Focus your thoughts, Zephyr instructed. The codex responds to conscious intent. Visualize the tear closing, the energies realigning. Elara closed her eyes, drawing upon every ounce of her scientific knowledge and human determination. She pictured the swirling vortex of the dimensional tear, imagining it shrinking, its wild energies calming under the influence of the codex. A high-pitched hum filled the air, growing in intensity until it seemed to vibrate through every atom in the room. The cosmic codex grew warm in Elara's hands, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. She could feel the Aetherian twins channeling their own energy through her, their alien consciousness brushing against her mind like cool water. It's working, Marcus shouted over the din. The tear is starting to close. Elara opened her eyes to see the dimensional rift shrinking, its edges smoothing out as reality knitted itself back together. The wild energies that had threatened to tear the station apart were being drawn into the cosmic codex, swirling beneath its opalescent surface like a miniature galaxy. With a final thunderous crack, the tear sealed shut. The oppressive energy that had filled the lab dissipated, leaving behind an eerie silence broken only by the heavy breathing of the exhausted crew. Elara slumped forward, suddenly drained. Zephyr caught her before she could fall, its touch surprisingly gentle. You did well, Dr. Chen, the alien said softly. Few beings could have wielded the codex so effectively on their first try. As the adrenaline of the moment faded, questions began to flood Ilara's mind. What exactly is this thing? She asked, looking down at the now quiet artifact in her hands. And why did it show me those visions? Zenith's expression grew somber. The Cosmic Codex is many things: a key, a map, a repository of universal knowledge. But in the wrong hands, it could also be a weapon of unimaginable power. Which is precisely why we must secure it immediately. A new voice rang out, sharp and authoritative. Ilara turned to see Admiral Viktor Petrov striding into the lab, flanked by a squad of heavily armed security officers. The Admiral's steely gaze swept over the scene, lingering on the Etherian twins with a mix of suspicion and barely concealed hostility. "Dr. Chen," Petrov said, his voice clipped. "You and your team are to be commended for averting a potential catastrophe, but this incident has raised serious security concerns. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to hand over the artifact and submit to a full debriefing." Ilara hesitated, her grip on the Cosmic Codex tightening instinctively. She glanced at Zephyr and Zenith, seeing the worry in their luminous eyes. Something told her that surrendering the artifact to military control would be a grave mistake. "With all due respect, Admiral," she began, choosing her words carefully, "this object is far more complex than we initially believed. Its powers go beyond anything in our scientific understanding. We need time to study it properly, to understand the risks." "That wasn't a request, Doctor," Petrov cut her off, his hand moving to rest on the holstered weapon at his hip. "This is now a matter of galactic security. Hand over the artifact. Now." The tension in the room ratcheted up several notches. Ilara could feel the eyes of her crew on her, silently urging her to comply. But the memory of those cosmic visions lingered, along with a growing certainty that the Cosmic Codex was meant for something greater than becoming another classified military secret. In that moment, as she stood at the crossroads of human ambition and cosmic destiny, Dr. Ilara Chen made a decision that would alter the course of history. "I'm sorry, Admiral," she said, her voice steady despite the hammering of her heart, "but I can't do that." With a speed that surprised even her, Ilara spun around and pressed the Cosmic Codex into Zephyr's hands. "Run," she shouted. The lab erupted into chaos. Security officers surged forward, shouting orders to stand down. Marcus and the other scientists scattered, ducking for cover as energy weapons were drawn. Admiral Petrov's face contorted with rage as he bellowed for his men to secure the artifact at all costs. But the Etherian twins moved with preternatural grace, weaving through the confusion like smoke. Zenith raised its hand, and a shimmering field of energy sprang up between them and their pursuers. Zephyr, cradling the Cosmic Codex, reached out and grabbed Ilara's arm. "Hold on," the alien said, its voice tinged with both excitement and trepidation. "This might be disorienting." Before Ilara could ask what that meant, the world around her began to blur. Colors swirled and melted together, and she felt a sensation of falling and flying all at once. The last thing she saw was Admiral Petrov's furious face, growing distant as reality itself seemed to fold around them. Then, with a rush of wind and a flash of impossible light, Dr. Ilara Chen and her alien companions vanished from Outpost Zeta 9, leaving behind a stunned silence and the first tremors of a conflict that would soon engulf the stars. As they hurtled through the void between realities, Ilara clung to the Etherian twins, her mind reeling from the enormity of what they had just done. She had chosen to trust these alien beings over her own people, to become a fugitive in the name of protecting a cosmic secret she'd barely understood. But as the universe reshaped itself around them, propelling them towards an uncertain destiny, Ilara felt a thrill of excitement beneath her fear. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The adventure had only just begun, and the fate of all reality hung in the balance. Interstellar chase. The fabric of reality rippled and tore as Ilara, Zephyr, and Zenith materialized on the bridge of an alien vessel. Ilara stumbled, her human senses overwhelmed by the sudden shift. The cosmic codex pulsed in Zephyr's hands, its opalescent surface swirling with barely contained energy. "Welcome aboard the Nebula Straker," Zenith said, steadying Ilara with a gentle touch. The ship's interior was a marvel of bioorganic technology, pulsing with life and bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. Ilara's scientific mind raced to catalogue every detail of her new surroundings. "This is incredible," she breathed, running her hand along a console that seemed to be grown rather than built. "How did we?" Her question was cut short by a violent shudder that rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed and a melodic alarm filled the air. "They found us already," Zephyr said, its luminous eyes wide with concern. "The humans must have tracked the Codex energy signature." A holographic display sprang to life, showing a massive Earth Alliance dreadnought dropping out of hyperspace behind them. Ilara's heart sank as she recognized the imposing silhouette of the EA's Prometheus, Admiral Petrov's flagship. "Can this ship outrun them?" Ilara asked, her voice tight with urgency. Zenith's hands danced over the organic controls. "The Nebula Straker is the fastest ship in the Aetherian fleet, but with the Prometheus on our tail, it'll be close." The ship lurched forward, stars blurring into streaks of light as they accelerated to impossible speeds. Ilara gripped a nearby support, her mind struggling to process the events of the last few hours. She had gone from a respected scientist to a fugitive, fleeing from her own people alongside alien beings she barely knew. "I need answers," she said, turning to the Aetherian twins. "What exactly is the Cosmic Codex? And why is it so important that we're risking our lives for it?" Zephyr and Zenith exchanged a look, a silent communication passing between them. Finally, Zephyr spoke, its melodic voice somber. "The Codex is more than just an artifact, Dr. Chen. It's a key to the fundamental forces that shape our universe and others. In the wrong hands, it could be used to collapse entire realities, to rewrite the very laws of physics." Zenith nodded, adding, "Our people have been searching for it for millennia, hoping to use its power to heal the growing instabilities in the cosmic fabric. But we're not the only ones who seek it." A new alarm blared, and the ship rocked violently. On the holographic display, Ilara watched in horror as the Prometheus fired a barrage of quantum torpedoes, their destructive energy warping spacetime itself. "Evasive maneuvers," Ilara shouted, her years of zero training kicking in. "Can we open a dimensional rift to escape?" Zephyr's eyes widened in surprise. "You understand transdimensional physics?" Ilara allowed herself a small, grim smile. "I'm a quick study. Now, can we do it or not?" Zenith's hands flew over the controls, the ship's living systems responding to its touch. "It's possible, but risky. We'd need a tremendous amount of energy, and there's no telling where we might end up." Another blast rocked the ship, and warning lights flashed across the organic displays. Ilara knew they were out of options. "Do it," she commanded, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "Use the Codex if you have to. We can't let Petrov get his hands on it." The Aetherian twins nodded in unison, their movements perfectly synchronized as they began the complex process of tearing a hole in reality. Zephyr held the Cosmic Codex aloft, its surface now blazing with internal light. Ilara felt the air around them grow heavy, charged with potential. The very atoms of the ship seemed to vibrate in anticipation. On the display, she saw the Prometheus closing in, its weapons primed for another attack. "Hold on to something," Zenith called out, its voice strained with effort. "This is going to be." The rest of its warning was lost as the universe itself seemed to fold around them. Ilara's vision exploded with impossible colors, her body feeling simultaneously compressed to a pinpoint and stretched across infinity. For a timeless moment, she experienced realities beyond human comprehension, worlds where the laws of physics were mere suggestions, dimensions of pure thought and emotion, vistas of cosmic beauty that defied description. Then, With a thunderous crack that resonated through her very being, they burst back into normal space. The nebula Straker spun wildly, its systems overloaded by the dimensional jump. Through the viewscreen, Ilara glimpsed a breathtaking sight, a massive, swerving nebula of purples and blues, studded with newborn stars. As Zephyr and Zenith worked to stabilize the ship, Ilara's scientific curiosity overtook her fear. She approached a console, her eyes widening as she read the sensor data. "This is impossible," she whispered. "According to these readings, we're in the Whirlpool Galaxy, over 23 million light-years from Earth." Zenith looked up, its luminous eyes filled with a mixture of awe and concern. "The Codex's power is greater than we imagined. It didn't just move us through space, it sent us through time as well." Ilara's mind reeled at the implications. They had escaped their pursuers, but at what cost? And what new dangers awaited them in this uncharted region of the cosmos? As if in answer to her unspoken question, a new alert sounded. Zephyr's voice was tight with tension as it reported, "We're picking up multiple signals converging on our position. Unknown origin, but they're putting out tremendous energy readings." Ilara squared her shoulders, drawing on a well of determination she didn't know she possessed. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that the fate of not just humanity, but all sentient life, might rest on their next moves. "All right," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Let's see what the Whirlpool Galaxy has in store for us. We've got a universe to save, and I have a feeling our adventure is just getting started." As the nebula Straker limped towards the heart of the nebula, its systems slowly recovering from the strain of the dimensional jump, Ilara Chen, scientist, explorer, and now perhaps the most important human in the galaxy, prepared herself for whatever cosmic wonders and terrors awaited them in the vast, uncharted depths of space. The hunt for the true power of the cosmic codex had begun, and the very fabric of reality hung in the balance. Cosmic crucible. The nebula Straker drifted through the heart of the Whirlpool Galaxy, its bioorganic hull pulsing with the effort of self-repair. Inside, Dr. Ilara Chen pored over holographic star charts with Zephyr and Zenith, their alien features illuminated by the swerving cosmos beyond the viewscreen. "These energy signatures are like nothing I've ever seen," Ilara murmured, her scientific curiosity temporarily overriding the gravity of their situation. "It's as if the very fabric of space-time is singing." Zenith nodded, its luminous eyes reflecting the starlight. "The Whirlpool Galaxy is ancient, Dr. Chen. Some believe it to be one of the birthplaces of consciousness in the universe." A sudden alarm cut through the air, causing all three to snap to attention. Zephyr's hands danced over the living controls, its voice tight with urgency. "Multiple vessels approaching. Their designs, they're not in any known database." The viewscreen shifted, revealing a sight that took Ilara's breath away. A fleet of ships unlike anything she had ever imagined filled the star-studded void. They seemed to be made of pure light, their forms constantly shifting and flowing like liquid starfire. "By all that's holy," Ilara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder and trepidation. Before anyone could react, a beam of scintillating energy lanced out from the lead ship, enveloping the nebula Straker in a cocoon of light. Ilara braced for an impact that never came. Instead, she felt a gentle tugging sensation, as if the very atoms of her being were being carefully examined. A voice filled the bridge, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It spoke no language Ilara recognized, yet she understood it perfectly, the meaning bypassing her ears and materializing directly in her mind. "Children of distant stars," the voice intoned, "ancient and powerful beyond measure. You carry with you an echo of the universe's birth. Step forward and be judged." In a flash of light that seared Ilara's retinas, she, Zephyr, and Zenith found themselves transported to a vast chamber that defied physical laws. The walls, if they could be called that, rippled with images of cosmic events, the birth and death of stars, the collision of galaxies, the very fabric of reality folding in on itself. Before them stood beings of pure energy, their forms vaguely humanoid but constantly shifting, as if they were only partially anchored to this plane of existence. Ilara felt like an amoeba trying to comprehend a tsunami. These entities were so far beyond her understanding that her mind struggled to process their very existence. "I am Axiom," the foremost being said, its voice resonating through Ilara's very soul. "We are the cosmic architects, shapers of realities, guardians of the grand design. You have brought the codex to our domain. Explain yourselves." Ilara swallowed hard, acutely aware that she stood at a pivotal moment, not just in human history, but in the history of the cosmos itself. She stepped forward, her voice steady despite the awe and fear coursing through her. "I am Dr. Ilara Chen of Earth," she began, drawing on every ounce of diplomatic skill she possessed. "We come seeking understanding and aid. The Cosmic Codex has shown us visions of a threat to all reality. We hope to use its power to prevent cosmic catastrophe." Axiom's form pulsed, and Ilara felt a sensation like fingers rifling through her memories. In an instant, the being had absorbed every detail of their journey, every nuance of the growing crisis that spanned galaxies and dimensions. "Your intentions are noble," Axiom said, after a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. "But you grasp forces beyond your comprehension. The Codex is not a tool to be wielded, but a key to unlocking the very foundations of existence." Zephyr stepped forward, its usual melodic voice tinged with desperation. "Great ones, we've seen the signs. The dimensional tears, the collapsing realities. If we don't act soon, all of creation could unravel." A ripple passed through the assembled cosmic architects, a silent communication that Ilara could feel brushing against the edges of her consciousness. Finally, Axiom spoke again, its tone grave. "The imbalance you have sensed is but a symptom of a greater malady. The Cosmic Codex is calling out across realities, seeking to be made whole. What you possess is but a fragment of a greater truth." With a gesture, Axiom conjured a swirling vortex of energy in the center of the chamber. Within it, Ilara saw glimpses of other worlds, other timelines, and in each one, a piece of the Codex, waiting to be reunited. To prevent the collapse of all realities, Axiom continued, the Codex must be reassembled. But beware, you are not the only ones who seek its power. Dark forces move in the spaces between worlds, drawn by the Codex core. Ilara's mind raced with the implications. A quest across dimensions, racing against unknown enemies to save all of existence. It was beyond anything she had ever dreamed of, beyond anything humanity had ever faced. But as she looked at Zephyr and Zenith, seeing the determination in their alien eyes, she knew they had no choice. The fate of all reality rested on their shoulders. "We accept this mission," Ilara said, her voice ringing with newfound purpose. "Whatever it takes, whatever the cost, we will see it through." Axiom's form brightened, and Ilara felt a surge of cosmic power wash over her. "Then go forth, champions of reality. Find the fragments, reunite the Codex, and restore balance to the grand design. But be warned, the journey ahead will test you in ways you cannot imagine. The very nature of existence hangs in the balance." With a gesture, Axiom opened a shimmering portal. Through it, Ilara could see the nebulous Straker waiting, its systems now fully repaired and humming with new power. "We have enhanced your vessel," Axiom said. "It will serve you in your travels across the dimensions. Trust in each other, and in the wisdom the Codex has granted you. The fate of all realities now rests in your hands." As Ilara, Zephyr, and Zenith stepped through the portal, returning to their ship with a newfound sense of purpose and destiny, they knew that the greatest adventure in the history of the cosmos was just beginning. The nebulous Straker's engines flared to life, powered by energies beyond mortal understanding. With the blessings of the cosmic architects and the weight of all existence on their shoulders, the unlikely trio set course for the first fragment of the Codex, ready to face whatever wonders and horrors awaited them in the vast, uncharted realms of the multiverse. As they accelerated towards their destiny, Ilara felt a mix of terror and exhilaration unlike anything she had ever known. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again, for her, for humanity, or for the very fabric of reality itself. The quest to save the cosmos had begun, and the greatest story ever told was about to unfold across the infinite tapestry of existence. Echoes of eternity. The nebula Straker hurtled through the quantum foam of reality, its enhanced systems humming with power beyond mortal comprehension. Inside the ship's living bridge, Dr. Elara Chen stood before a holographic display that defied the laws of physics as she knew them. Multidimensional equations swirled around her, each variable representing not just numbers, but entire universes. The cosmic architects weren't kidding when they said this would test us, Elara muttered, her brow furrowed in concentration. These calculations make quantum mechanics look like basic arithmetic. Zephyr glided to her side, its iridescent form shimmering with barely contained energy. You're adapting remarkably well, Dr. Chen. Few beings can comprehend transdimensional mathematics so quickly. Elara allowed herself a small smile. Let's hope it's enough. According to these readings, the first codex fragment should be just ahead, wherever ahead is in this mess of realities. The view screen flickered, struggling to translate the mind-bending vistas outside into something their brains could process. What they saw defied description, a kaleidoscopic maelstrom of colliding timelines and overlapping dimensions. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Zenith's hands danced over the organic controls, its voice tight with urgency. Multiple signatures detected. It's impossible. They're us. The screen shifted, revealing a dozen versions of the nebula Straker converging on their position. Each ship was slightly different, some bristling with weaponry, others scared and battered, one even seeming to be made entirely of living crystal. Temporal convergence, Elara breathed, her scientific mind racing. The fragment must be causing localized reality distortions. We're seeing alternate versions of ourselves from different timelines. Before they could react, a barrage of energy weapons fire erupted from several of the alternate ships. The nebula Straker rocked violently, its shields flaring with strain. Why are they attacking us? Zephyr shouted over the din of alarms. Elara's mind flashed back to Axon's warning. The dark forces the architects mentioned, they must have corrupted some versions of us in other timelines. We're literally fighting ourselves. Zenith's voice cut through the chaos. The fragment. I've pinpointed its location, but we'll have to navigate through this temporal storm to reach it. Elara squared her shoulders, determination etched on her face. Then that's what we'll do. Zephyr, can you open a channel to the other ships? Maybe we can reason with the uncorrupted versions of ourselves. As Zephyr worked to establish communication, Elara felt a strange doubling sensation. Suddenly, she was aware of multiple versions of herself, the scientist, the warrior, the mystic, each one a path not taken in her own timeline. A cacophony of voices filled the bridge, all of them her own, yet each distinctly different. The fragment belongs to us. One version snarled, her voice twisted with dark power. We must destroy it before it falls into the wrong hands. Another pleaded. Unite the fragments, restore the balance. A third intoned, sounding more machine than human. Elara closed her eyes, centering herself amidst the temporal chaos. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight and authority that surprised even her. Listen to me, to us, she commanded. We all want the same thing, to save reality itself. But fighting each other only serves the forces trying to unravel the cosmos. We need to work together. For a moment, the barrage of weapons fire ceased. In that fragile silence, Elara felt a connection forming between the various versions of herself and her alien companions. It was as if the fragment itself was reaching out, trying to bridge the gaps between realities. She's right, one of the alternate Elaras said, her voice filled with newfound clarity. I can feel it. We're stronger together. A ripple of agreement passed through the assembled ships. Even some of the corrupted versions seemed to hesitate, the dark influence over them wavering. Seizing the moment, Ilara turned to Zephyr and Zenith. Now's our chance. Can we create a temporal fusion, merge our ships into one? The Aetherian twins exchanged a look of awe. It's theoretically possible, Zenith said, but the energy required would be astronomical. We have something more powerful than energy, Ilara replied, her eyes shining with determination. We have unity. As if in response to her words, the cosmic codex fragment they carry began to pulse with blinding light. Ilara felt its power surge through her, connecting her to every version of herself across the multiverse. Everyone, focus, she called out, her voice echoing across dimensions. Picture us coming together, our ships merging, our purposes aligning. The view screen erupted in a dazzling display of light and color. Ilara felt herself stretched across realities, her consciousness expanding to encompass every version of the Nebula Straker and its crew. For a timeless moment, she experienced the infinite possibilities of her own existence, every choice, every path, every triumph and tragedy across countless timelines. Then, with a thunderous crack that shook the very foundations of reality, the ships merged. The resulting vessel was a marvel beyond imagination, a fusion of technology and organic matter from a dozen different timelines, pulsing with the combined power of multiple universes. As the light faded, Ilara found herself standing on a bridge that seemed to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. Around her were countless versions of Zephyr and Zenith, each one unique, yet part of a greater whole. And there, floating before them in all its multidimensional glory, was the first fragment of the cosmic codex. As Ilara reached out to claim it, she felt the weight of infinite realities resting on her shoulders. This was just the first step in their cosmic quest, but it had already changed her in ways she was only beginning to understand. Well done, Dr. Chen, a chorus of voices said, her own voice echoing across the multiverse. But our journey is far from over. Ilara nodded, cradling the fragment as reality slowly stabilized around them. She knew that greater challenges lay ahead, more fragments to find, more forces of chaos to overcome, and the ultimate mystery of the cosmic codex itself to unravel. But as she stood there, surrounded by infinite versions of herself and her alien companions, Ilara felt a surge of hope. Together, they had achieved the impossible, and together, they would save the very fabric of existence itself. As the newly forged ship of 1,000 realities set course for the next fragment, Ilara allowed herself a small smile. The greatest adventure in the history of the cosmos was well and truly underway, and she couldn't wait to see what wonders and challenges awaited them in the vast, uncharted realms of the multiverse. The battle for reality had only just begun, and the echoes of their victory would resonate across eternity.